everybody, how are you today? Well, by the time you guys see this video, it's probably going to be another 3 weeks when you see this video. But what the hell? I'm making my way across the USA right now, and when you're on the road by yourself for lengthy periods of time, it can get pretty lonely. I don't know if I'm sure some of you have driven long distances before, and it could be quite challenging. It requires a lot of discipline, and you got to pace yourself. But I thought I would talk about OCD with you. Anybody out here have OCD? I'm sure you know somebody who has OCD. If you don't have it yourself, I sometimes wonder if I have OCD or if I'm just highly neurotic. Interestingly enough, someone the other day told me I'm a neurotic Jew. So am I just neurotic, or do I have OCD? I mean, isn't it the same thing? You know, it's means you just worry. You worry about it. Well, yeah, you obsess, worry, neuroses. You know, just and overthinking, overdwelling, mental consumption over things, a lack of security. You know, I'm sorry, I'm talking to myself. I shouldn't be. I try to do the news. I try to talk about things that interest you guys, but you know, I'm alone. I'm driving on the road for 3 days, and I really don't have anybody to call. I don't have anybody to talk to. So I'm having a conversation myself. How do you like them apples? Anyway, let me just give you some examples, because OCD, it's funny, whenever I want to talk about it, I can never think of the examples, and then when like OCD, you know, gets its grip of me and I get obsessed and worried by things, I don't write it down. I'm so consumed with the worry at the time, then I forget what I was obsessing about. But just leaving my apartment was a big deal, going away, because I'm worried that when I go back, I'm not going to have an apartment and I'm not going to have a car. See, first thing I was concerned that someone was going to steal my car or my license plate or my car. I have a 20-year-old car. Okay, I can't even drive it because I have to pass a smog inspection. I'm renting this car to drive across the USA, and I was obsessing about whether or not I was even going to get the rental, because my driver's license does not have my current address. And if anybody has ever rented from these rental places, sometimes they can be very finicky. Everything has to match: the credit card, the driver's license. So I purposely did not go to the airport. I live near the airport. It would be much more convenient to go there and rent the car. But anybody doesn't know this, when you're renting a car, sometimes the airport, they're more stringent. Like you cannot use a debit card in an airport unless you have like proof that you're returning. I don't know why. You have to have a credit card to get a rent a car in an airport. So I took the bus like all the way across town to rent the car. Anyway, I'm digressing from the subject. I was worried about leaving my apartment because I was concerned that people were going to know that I was away, and that squatters would break into my apartment. And that in itself wouldn't bother me so much, but I was worried that they would destroy the apartment. They would ransack it, and then the apartment complex would blame me for this. And yes, I have rental insurance, which should cover any damages, but I was so concerned that the damage would be so great that the apartment complex would sue me for like $300,000, and I would not even be able to afford to get another apartment because of all my funds, all my wages, all my savings would be garnished and frozen, and that I would be homeless. All right? So once I got in the road, oh, by the way, before I left the apartment, I kept checking over and over again. I had to keep checking the handle to the door to make sure the door is locked. And whenever I check the handle, it always has to be like 4 times or 8 times. If I check the handle to the door 6 times, that's bad luck. It's an odd number, and I got to start over again. So I kept checking and checking and checking to make sure the door is locked, right? I finally left after checking and checking and going back and making sure the toilet wasn't running and making sure everything was unplugged and make sure there was nothing covering like the outlets in the wall, because I was afraid the friction, like anything rubbing against the outlet would cause, would be flammable. And I don't know, maybe 6 hours into my journey, I started thinking, well, maybe you left the bathtub running. Now I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks. So now I'm obsessed. The bathtub's running, and the whole apartment is going to get flooded. And that, not only will I be sued for the place flooding, but people will drown because the water will go into the other apartments. This is how my mind goes. I can go on and on. A couple months ago, one of my jobs, I left a trumpet mouthpiece in the pocket to my uniform, to the jacket, and I started obsessing that somehow someone was going to find that trumpet mouthpiece, right? And then they were going to use that trumpet mouthpiece as a weapon to murder somebody, and then they were going to find my DNA, because I play the trumpet, on the mouthpiece, and then I would get framed for murder, and I was going to have to go to prison for the rest of my life. These are the thoughts that I live with. I should just fly from the West Coast to the East Coast to visit my family, but I'm afraid the plane's going to crash. Maybe that's why I've been blessed from really bad things happening to me, because I'm just suffering all the time, constantly suffering in a world of loneliness, man. So anyway, thank you for listening, guys. I'm sorry for making this about myself, but once again, I'm on the road, and I'm not my usual altruistic self, but I promise you, once I'm settled down, I'll get back into my episodes. I'm hoping to make some videos in New York City, show you the sights in New York City, and that's about all I gotta say. Thank you for watching, and hopefully when I do upload this onto YouTube, I will be back home. I will have my apartment. I will have my 20-year-old car. I'm even obsessing with my stuffed panda bear. I kept obsessing about whether to take him with me or not on the trip. I was afraid to leave him alone. This is why I can't have animals. I obsess about animals. I worry about animals. I used to be worried that people were going to break into my apartment and kill my cats. Thank God I don't have any pets. Now I'm worried about my stuffed panda bear. There you go. Welcome to my world. Can anybody relate? I'll be back soon, guys. Thank you.